What's up, mortgage coach community? Dave Savage broadcasting live with my good buddy David Childers of Keeping Current Matters. What's up, brother?
It's good to be with you, Dave. It's been a few weeks since we've talked, but excited to be here today and excited to talk in the new year. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I want to net out some big market opportunities, and maybe there'll be market opportunities for all of 2021. Maybe we're just talking about the first half of 2021. This is, guys, this is the beginning of a conversation that I want to have because I want to help you, the mortgage coach community, know where the biggest opportunities in the market are based off of the data and the insights. So let's see where this conversation goes. I've got three big opportunities that I think every mortgage coach should know about, but maybe the data that David shares us will uncover some other opportunities. So David, what do you think some of the biggest opportunities are for top producing or want to be top producing referral-based local mortgage professionals?
Yeah, I think the place that we're in right now, the first week here of January, is realizing that in the market, everything that happened in 2020 is setting up 2021. And if I look back on it, what the data shows us is the opportunity, or I want to maybe use the word winner from the market in 2020 is equity. Okay, in so many different ways, equity that helped people weather the storm, relative to the pandemic, and that equity being in their home, but also looking forward, the equity opportunities. And so I think everything surrounding helping people understand how to best leverage and best use the equity in their home is the opportunity. And I will say this too, I've given a lot of thought of this. Our research team has done a lot of work on it. Coming out of the housing crisis of 2008, the biggest challenge was lack of equity, right? And caused the housing crash, and folks to have to go into situations, lose their homes, whatever the case may be. And since then, people have handled their equity differently setting up today. And so I think understanding that big picture and the people we serve, and hey, how much equity do you have in your home? How are you leveraging that? What are your needs today? All the questions around that is probably the biggest opportunity as we start this year.
Yeah, the only color I'd put on that is I love that, because I think in the mortgage business, we just think, hey, we're mortgage professionals. And I would put everybody to think, no, you're not a mortgage professional, you're a debt professional. Now, maybe that's not the word you use to describe yourself to a family, but I find that the most successful loan officers, they understand like their role is, I help manage the liability side of your personal balance sheet. You've got a financial planner that helps manage the diversity and the growth of your investment assets. You've got a CPA that helps you optimize your tax benefits. You got a loan officer to help you optimize how you have debt. And I would just say what Dave just said is, I think you guys need to also add equity. I'm an equity manager. And when you put it all together, I am a professional that can help you build wealth through real estate, through a combination of managing your equity and manage your debt, your liabilities. So I love that. So any numbers you want to share, or any details you want to get around that?
Yeah, I've got, me always, Dave, as we talk, I want to bring a few slides and bring some visuals to the conversation, because I think the question this year relative to that, what you just said, being an equity manager, is how can we help people manage that equity to meet needs in the coming year? We know many people have said, we need different things in housing. Our home is appreciated. CoreLogic just came out in the fourth quarter and said homes appreciated by 7.3% over the past year. And what that's meant is more opportunity, more available equity if people want to go out and buy a home and want to, all the things. Let's not even talk about our business. Start another, a business as a consumer, send someone to college, a child to college. So many opportunities that we can help them with. Let me share a couple of things that our research team has found that I think will help give a little bit of color to this conversation. And I'll start here with a quote from Frank Nothav, who's chief economist at CoreLogic. He says this: over the past year, strong home price growth has created record level of home equity for homeowners. The average family with a home mortgage loan had $194,000 in home equity in the third quarter. Let me say that again. The average home with a mortgage has $194,000 in home equity as of the third quarter. That number used to be, when we started the year, $177,000. And it's key to remember that. He goes on to say it provides an important buffer to protect families if they experience financial difficulties. One of the reasons for generational low foreclosure rates right now. Let's not miss that opportunity. It's helping people and has helped people weather the storm financially, and we can't overlook that. But also, people are looking at the equity in their homes, saying, "Okay, how do I leverage that going forward?" And it's pretty key. Also in that report from CoreLogic, the reality is equity has skyrocketed across the country. $17,000 is the average gain in equity in a home. I mentioned 194,000 is the average equity in a mortgaged home. They tell us almost 40% homes in this country are owned free and clear. Significant number of homes owned free and clear, and almost a little over $1 trillion in equity has been accumulated over the last 12 months in homes as they've appreciated, as people have said, hey, the housing market over the last year has outperformed the prior year, and it's continued to forecast to continue to outperform going into next year. And so it's providing options for people that maybe in past downturns, things like that they didn't have.
So guys, I want to unveil the first mortgage coach insight out of that. And there's three, and they're critical. And all three of these are things that you guys need to really pay attention right now. Like, this is not, I think this is an opportunity in today's market. And I talked about this mortgage coach strategy a number of times last year. But I want you to really, I think after what David just said, you should really look at it in a whole new context. And every time you're talking to a family, whether it's a refi, whether it's a purchase, especially when it's a refi, how's that home still working for you? And understanding their equity. You should just always start thinking, okay, like if you're talking to a homeowner, what's your rate? What's your loan amount? You already know how to do that. What's that equity position? And what are your goals? Like, if they say the home is still working out for them, now we're looking for non-tax deductible debt. We're looking for, would you like to add on to that house? Would you like to improve the kitchen? Would you like to, people are working out of their homes now. Are there home improvements? So we'll talk about debt consol, cash out, call it being able to give a family a financial makeover in the house that they're in. And then let's talk about, like, there's some people who say, like, no, I want a new school district. And you can't fix that with a home improvement loan. And I want a new bedroom. A lot of people don't want to add bedrooms. They might want to upgrade the kitchen. They might want to put in a pool. They might not want to add a bedroom. So this is where Amber Kovark, the month I interviewed her, and I'll put a link to the interview down below, she did a refi versus move up analysis. And this was a family that had $150,000 in equity. So guys, below the medium, I didn't know that was a medium. This is below the medium. Refinancing, they could have saved $332 a month. Moving up, they qualified for 5% down. So they didn't need to use their equity. They could have bought the home. They qualified for 5%. Their payment, cash flow would have gone up $507, to be noted. And then they could have said, now we're going to sell that home, and then we're going to recast the mortgage. So take that $125,000 in equity and buy down their mortgage, and their payment could have gone down by $164. Now, what this family decided to do is say, you know what? We're still going to sell the home. We're going to do the 5% loan. We're not going to recast it, but we're going to take that money and we're going to put it with a financial advisor that is getting 8%. But let's just plan, if we only got 6%, what would that look like in 15 years? Guys, using Keeping Current Matters, Dave Childers, macroeconomic data, this is something you should be talking to realtors right now and saying, now realtors, they're not going to want to do the financial makeover and take out cash and build on. They're just like, let's find move ups. But needless to say, this is a conversation that, as a mortgage coach, hopefully you're a member of David's. And by the way, if you're not a member of David's, how many realtors are using Keeping Current Matters, David? And they know this? How many realtors out there?
Well, our KCM members over 25,000. The ones that just use our information's tens of thousands. They're out there in the industry. So I think it's definitely about, you and I have known each other for 20 years, Dave. It's a values match in being connected to an agent that wants to educate their client. That's what KCM's all about. You know what I mean? And when you have a lender that wants to do that, you have an agent that wants to do that, that's a special thing.
Yeah. And guys, here's the magic. Not only did you help the family with a combination of Keeping Current Matters Insight and Mortgage Coach, net worth, cash to access, big home, but the real estate agent gets the new listing. Real estate agent gets a new buyer. So just call it strategy one for 2021. There is a lot of equity out there. There's a lot of people that want to move up. I'm going to talk about cash out refis and how Mortgage Coach can help you do that in a minute. Anything else you want to say to that, Dave?
Something, Dave. I want to show you something that will potentially help. I want to get your opinion on this, help open the door to that conversation. Okay. And it's a new study that just came out from NAR. You see the slide I'm sharing here?
I can.
In the gains in wealth in equity are impressive. So what this shows, and I'll give you all these slides, Dave, people can get access to them. If you go into this report, which is linked in the notes of this slide, what this is showing is after someone has lived in a home 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, after 30 years, on average, how much equity have they accumulated? Okay. And so depending on who you're talking to say to somebody who's been in a home 15 years or 30 years, on average, $147,000 of equity is accumulated in that home. Did you know that? Did you think about that? How do you want to use that equity? Is a way to start that conversation with somebody that may not know what their options are. I mean, you mentioned the example that Amber used. I think using that as a starting point for that conversation will help folks go, wow, there are options. And then Mortgage Coach is the best at displaying, what those options are relative to, going forward.
You know what I like about these slides so far is I'll bet you that most realtors don't even know this data. And
Sure.
I'll bet you there's realtors that subscribe to your blog, Keeping Current Matters blog and Keeping Current Matters. They may not even know it. And
Sure.
they may have this insight, but not know how to turn the insight into action. And so Mortgage Coach professionals, this is a call. I do recommend you start asking your real estate agents, oh, are you Keeping Current Matters? And if they say no, you just hooked them up, like check it out. And if they say yes, you have found that they invest in borrower education. And now you can say, hey, you want to know how to take that data and actually turn it into listings of move-up buyers, and take that data and add more value to your current customers. And now you've got a strategy, win by noon. So by the way, I just interviewed Todd, so I've got win by noon on my head. Todd Bookspan. Hey, real quick, if a loan officer is talking to a realtor and they don't know about win by noon, if they don't know about Keeping Current Matters, is it just go to the website, or what is the best way that they should hook them up and get them on your platform?
I mean, they can go keepingcurrentmatters.com and go check out everything that we do. But I would say this, partnering together, an agent that is, following KCM as a KCM member, and a loan officer that's, using Mortgage Coach, that is a partnership that I think is powerful. So yeah, certainly you can send them to Keeping Current Matters. Even if you're referring them in saying, hey, go sign up for the KCM blog, which is kcmblog.com, they'll thank you for that because it's a great information. But I think your point of helping folks understand, how do I go out and use this information in my business is key in taking action there.
So guys, also this video, you could tell them to watch this video, and Dave and I will share some insights. They'll hear me talking about market strategies. So I got 2 more strategies I want to cover, but any more data you want to share before I do that?
Tell me what the other 2 strategies are, and then I'll tell you what data I have.
All right, all right. Well, I'm gonna go next just because we're on the concept of data, and I want to show you guys a debt consult, because if you're asking that family, how's the house working for you, and they're like, we love it, but they have equity. First of all, do they have car loans? Do they have student debt? Do they have credit card bills? And do you have any home improvement goals? So I want to show a new feature that we're rolling out within Mortgage Coach any day now. Like, if you're watching this a couple days from today, this may already be there, but you can do a debt consolidation analysis from within Mortgage Coach. And this is an industry innovation, not just in the mortgage industry, but in the world of technology, financial technology. Financial planners don't have this, banks don't have this. This is something that you as a mortgage coach have, something incredibly unique that breaks down the debt for the family, that nets it out for them, shows their monthly savings, current situation, how much total interest you're paying, not just mortgage, but all your debt, and based off consolidation. And so it's super powerful. It breaks down the debts in detail, and you can show, like, hey, short term. And guys, you can make this 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. We think 5 years is kind of the short term number that people want to look at, and the default long term is 15 years. But you could make it 3 years and 7 years, whatever you want. And so now in Mortgage Coach, you've always been able to do a debt consolidation analysis in Mortgage Coach, but not at this level of detail where it breaks it down. It shows the net worth over time. So now, guys, whether the family, when you talk to someone who has equity, you can have a super compelling conversation. Do you like your home? You just want a financial makeover, and maybe look at what it would look like to get some money out to do the home improvements that you want, or to have the lifestyle you want? Or do you want to look at a move up? And Mortgage Coach can help you, do either debt consol or move up. Mortgage Coach can help. So to me, those are two powerful strategies that if you want to crush 2021, you need to be a master at both of those. What are your thoughts on that, Dave?
I think absolutely. The question is right now for people is, are you, relative to housing, living in the home that meets your needs? I think a couple of things are going to happen this year. One, people are going to get clearer on what they need going forward. There are a lot of people right now that say, my job, I don't know exactly, are we going back? Am I going to be able to work remotely? And that's driving a lot of folks in their housing needs. And I think leveraging equity for that, for the other things that they want in a move up scenario, even a move down scenario, things have changed over the last 12 months, and being able to really present that's going to be key.
Cool. So, hey, we didn't announce that we were doing this, but we've had over 20 people watching it live in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group. I'm sure we'll have hundreds, if not over 1,000, watch this video on our YouTube channel. Guys, if you have questions or comments, put it down below. I would love to know, Mortgage Coach community, how much debt do people have out there? I'm in the process of writing an article right now because we're launching this debt consol, but I do believe it's a lot. And I think coming through this COVID, more importantly than how much debt do people have, it's like the psychology has changed.
Mm-hmm.
I think whatever people wanted in cash reserves pre-COVID, how much do you want to have liquid for emergencies? How much do you want to have liquid for investments? Whatever it was pre-COVID, it's more today.
Right.
And so there's been a psychological change. I also think that psychological change is, however much people wanted to have whatever their dream home is pre-COVID, they want it more post-COVID because they're working out of their home more.
Right.
And this is going to go on for years. So I think 2021 is the year where you need to go beyond the transaction. You need to go beyond just what's your rate, what's your payment, or hey, how long are you going to live in this house? Typical loan officer speaking. You need to go beyond, like, what are your 5-year goals? What are your lifestyle goals? How can I give you a financial makeover and optimize your cash flow? How can I give you a real estate makeover and optimize your equity and help you build wealth with real estate faster? That's a conversation that consumers want more now than ever. So being a black belt at Mortgage Advice is key. Any other insights you want to share, brother?
Yeah, I think that you mentioned, I was just thinking about you saying that you mentioned people, whatever they wanted before, they want that now relative to, maybe cash on hand, the home that they're looking for. I would equate this a lot to the housing crisis and what we just started off in talking about. People handled and have handled their homes differently than how they did 10 years ago as a direct result of what we went through in 2008. And I think we're going to see the same thing. And many people, the market that's outperformed this year is the second home market. There's many people that were saying, you know what, instead of waiting, we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to go ahead and move to that home, to that area, to that location that we wanted to. And I think you're going to see more of that happen in the coming year.
Yeah, you're right. In fact, I just interviewed a top producing loan officer, and part of what got her to the next level is I want to have that second home. So you're right. I told you guys there's going to be other opportunities. I had three that could all move up, but you just had another one, that second home. People are going to want that if they have the equity, they have the financial wherewithal. You can help them do that. So here's my number three. And Dave, tell me, you may not have any stats on this right now in this call, but I do believe from the Modern Mortgage Summit that we did with and Denise Donahue was one of the keynote speakers, and she did a keynote on rent versus own, first time home buyers, and how can we help personalize that for someone. Now, in this particular total cost analysis, she focused on multiple options. So, it's branding, it's got her personal brand. She does a great job of it. She's showing, hey, here's renting today. And then here's owning at different purchase prices, ranging from 325 to 360. And here's your cost per month difference. And then she's showing the long-term benefit. She's taking it from generic content to personalizing it on, hey, look at how much rent you're paying over 60 months versus look at how much equity you could be building up, and look at your net worth. Renting net worth in 10 years or 15 years, owning net worth in 15 years. So I think that is something that if you're a mortgage loan officer, you need to be a mortgage coach, and you need to help renters understand the value of owning. And you also need to help realtors tell that story more effectively.
Yeah.
Any data on that, Dave?
Well, I didn't bring all the net worth of a renter versus an owner with me today, but you can go to Keeping Current Matters. You can grab all of that off the KCM blog. You can see that, and it's significant. And I think that's important that we talk about that. The other thing is understanding the market that we're in right now. Two things likely in the future are happening, and certainly are forecasted to happen. First of all, the price, you want to talk about renting versus buying. And oh, by the way, in most cities across the country, it is cheaper to buy than rent. I know there's some places that it's not, but most places it is, but due to the interest rate scenario that we have right now. But understanding right now that homes are forecasted to appreciate over the next 12 months in healthy appreciation. Also, as the economy improves, and I'm not here today to try to forecast rates, but rates, will continue at some point to go up. So it's going to cost more down the road. Now, I want to bring a little bit of perspective to this conversation and maybe remind you of a couple things if you're listening to this, but also show you what is the potential for someone who is buying a home today, in going back to this word, in the equity they can accumulate. But the first point is the reality of where we sit right now. And it's from the Urban Institute. It's most recently released, and they said renters are disproportionately hurt by the crisis. The reason I bring this is just to remember that's a reality we live in today. It says a greater share of renters lost their jobs. That meant losing savings that could have been used for a down payment, falling behind on bills, which could hurt their credit and make it even more difficult for them to be future homeowners. This opportunity right here, Dave, to talk about different programs, how to, it doesn't, we talk a lot at KCM about how you don't need 20% down to buy a home. And I know in our business, we go, well, everybody knows that. Everybody doesn't know that. We have to be reminded that we have to talk about those things, but also coming out of last year and even right now, renters have been disproportionately hurt by this crisis. So that's the first thing that I would remind you of. in the world that we live in today. Second, it's a very important graphic right here. It just came out from the Home Price Expectation Survey, the fourth quarter of 2020. And what this says is between here and 2026, the average home purchased at $300,000 stands to gain $54,000 in equity over that time. And so helping to show somebody, hey, buying a house today, taking advantage of low interest rates, all the things that we know are true today, here's what you stand to grow in wealth over the next several years through a home. And so I think using both of those, the first is as just a reality of where we are today, but second, helping people see the visual impact of home ownership and what it does to help create wealth in this country.
Man, I love you, brother. That was so good. And guys, we live in a world right now where there's darkness, there's conflict, there's uncertainty,
Sure.
there's light, there's hope, and there's the future, and then there's shades of gray. And when you're going through a mortgage transaction with someone and you're showing them transactional details, it's important, and you got to do it. And you got to take a loan out to do a loan. But guys, that's anywhere from a shade of gray to darkness. Like families are not, it's not inspirationally positive to people. But guys, the light, when you show someone the value and the net worth that they can have 5 years from now, based off of today's metrics and what they believe rates are, guys, that's the light. So when you're the loan officer showing them the light, like, hey, look at these options, look at this over 5 years, look at this over 10 years, guys, you're positioning, you're making every other loan officer that's living in the dark and gray clouds, going through transactions. I do loans, I close them on time. That's gray and dark. And you're the loan officer that's showing them the hope, the potential, the value. You can give them a financial makeover. You're the light. And so I just push everybody, be the light. Summary of strategies. And I don't know if this is the order I'd put them, but I mean, I do think that move up is huge because it's unique, because it's going to turn on the light bulb for realtors that are going to be like, oh, I never thought of it like that before. So I mean, I made that number one, but I do think that's a strategy that you're a mortgage coach. You need to master that. I put debt console as number two. And here's why I put it as number two, is because it's going to last forever. We've got a lot of debt, we've got a lot of equity. I mean, obviously, maybe not forever, but if you can always be that financial professional that could creatively help a family optimize their cash flow and their real estate with a mortgage, you got a job forever. When rates are high, when rates are low, if Amazon Mortgage gets into business and they commoditize rate and term refis, you just always got a job. If you can be that, debt console, mortgage makeover person, you got a job forever. Number three, first-time home buyers. Guys, going to be a flood of first-time home buyers coming in the market. It's a no-brainer. And then number four, I didn't have a number four, but be the lifestyle loan officer. Like ask them what are their goals, what are their strategies. A lot of people getting second homes, a lot of people moving for lifestyle, but be that loan officer that is making sure that a family has real estate today and they have goals to have lifestyle. Didn't have that until this conversation, Dave. Anything you want to wrap up with, or anything you think you got from today's call?
No, I think there's the reality is 2021, there's opportunity. And I think you hit the nail on the head. There's opportunity to help people in a number of different ways. Maybe, folks that are going through a tough time and that available equity, that available cash flow can be very, very helpful. There's also the opportunity to help an individual or help a family start accumulating and building wealth through home ownership. So I think looking at the year as, where are the opportunities that I have to help people is the absolute right way to go.
Love it. So mortgage coach community, I want to throw it back to you. What are the biggest opportunities you're working on? And I didn't mention rate and term refi and typical purchases, because guys, that's status quo. It's out there. There are refis. There's going to still be rate and term refis falling from the sky, but you don't need to focus on that. Like these three things that I just talked about, every loan officer is not going after it. For those of you that follow Mortgage Coach and you put together some presentation, like what are the stats and how are you doing debt consol? I'm looking for success stories because we are rolling out the new debt consol features. So we want to create some training content. And you know how we like to do it. We want to hear an inspirational story from a top producing loan officer that talked to a family. They said, hey, this is our situation. You did a makeover. I'm looking for those stories. So I want to interview you as these new features come out. If you've got some great financial makeover stories using the Mortgage Coach debt consolidation analysis, let me know. If you're not a mortgage coach, mortgagecoach.com. And if you're not a Keeping Current Matters professional, go to keepingcurrentmatters.com. Dave,
Yeah.
any closing thoughts or anything you
Let
want
me
to say to
share
make sure people
one
know how?
closing thought. I just grabbed this that our
Bring it.
research team found from Showing Time, and it's they wrote a blog post, positive takeaways from 2020, and I think this just underscores, Dave, what you've stood for, what Mortgage Coach stands for, and it says this: market data has always been a powerful tool for real estate, but 2020 marked a new high point for how data was leveraged to encourage informed decisions to help real estate professionals reinforce their status as market experts. So if we needed any third-party proof that this is happening, and it's happened more in the last 12 months, that being able to help somebody make an informed decision is what people want today.
Boom. Confident decisions powered
Yeah.
by Keeping Current Matters and Mortgage Coach, dude. Appreciate you guys. Please share this with your mortgage friends. If you're a branch manager, share this with your branch. And don't just share it, like follow up. Make sure they got the message. If there were some strategies here that had added value to you, make sure you're leading by example and make sure you're helping your team upgrade themselves. Take care, everybody. And thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Dave. It's great to be with you.